learn with us on Bass University Live. Bass University Live starts now. Welcome to Bass University Live. Great to have you guys with us. Excited to have our guest with us today. We're going to be talking about big bass with the big bass master, Ben Milliken. Riz, this is always a fun show.
Yeah, definitely. There's no question about it. Ben has led the charge in a lot of components as it pertains to, big baits and catching big bass. And, it's always fun when you're talking to and get to be around somebody that's truly one of the best in class at, what they do. So.
Absolutely. So we're psyched to have him with us. Guys, we've been talking about it. It's getting closer. It's getting a lot closer. The Bass University new experience is about to hit you. Just give us
I want to click the button.
Yeah, click the button, Rich. Let's give them a little preview.
Well, there it was. It was that quick. If you missed it, you missed it.
That is a terrible preview. That's like an Easter egg. The Roku.
Maybe we'll mark it in again.
Yeah. Roku, we got you we're coming to Roku, we're coming to Amazon Fire TV. Well, of course, we're going to be available on your App Store and Google Play for your Android and Apple users. Great new features, downloads, capabilities are all there. All the things that everybody at Bass University has been asking for, we're delivering. In addition to the amazing teaching content, and that's what we're all about, right? We're here. We're bringing the best anglers on the planet, teaching us things that they're really, really talented at, and that's at your fingertips at Bass U, and it's available 24/7. So we're excited to to bring these things to you. So we're going to keep teasing it, and it's going to be coming real soon. We're just a few approvals away from pushing that go button. Yep. And super excited about that. Want to give a shout out to the folks at Thump Gel. Been seeing some amazing preview videos of the Glow, Thump Gel Glow, which is a great new asset to your product. This time of year, you're punching mats, getting into those dark zones. This is going to make your baits pop like never before. So, and this is the mat fishing time. I know the grass beds are dying, mats are loading up, and it's a great time of year to be out doing that. And we're also brought to you by Humminbird and Minn Kota. Very pleased to be working with those folks. As always, Lake Master continues to lead the way as being an amazing mapping that we use every day, in addition to the side imaging and Mega Live 2 and 360 and all the great features over there at Humminbird and Minn Kota. And man, super excited. Without any further ado, let's bring him in, Riz. We got the man, friend of our show, Bass University instructor. Super proud to have Ben as part of the Bass University teacher system we got here. Great to have you with us, buddy. How you doing?
I'm doing good, guys. Excited to be on here.
I'm excited to have you on. We were just talking a little pre-show, Ben. We had you in getting a few heart scenarios checked out and making sure you're okay. Is catching all those big fish starting to finally take its toll on you?
That's got to be what it is, Pete. No, I think maybe the lifestyle associated with catching these big fish is kind of gotten to me a little bit. Supposedly, I don't know if this is true, but I guess drinking like 2 or 3 energy drinks a day and eating on food from the gas station is a bad thing for your heart. But I have no idea. I can't confirm or deny that.
Oh, hey, that's funny. Who is that? Who is that? Kenta Kimura? Is he the guy? Is he the energy drink guy that drinks like a case of energy drinks every day?
Yeah, Kenta, I think 6 or 7 Red Bulls a day, like 2 packs of cigarettes. Like he gets after it, man.
Yeah, that's one way to do it, man. But I'm glad you're okay, right? You just gave us, you got a clean bill of health. Things are good.
Yeah, everything's good. Maybe I think so. Anyway, we hope they haven't been able to find anything wrong. But I guess just quick backstory. What happened is my heart just kind of randomly went into AFib, where it's like just not beating properly, beating erratically, too quickly. When I was out in Nevada, and of course, it only happens when you're on vacation. And my
And
wife's got a medical background. She's like, we gotta get you to the ER here in a little Bullhead City, Nevada. So it was actually a really good ER, and they did a great job there. But basically, they tried to kind of chemically get my heart rate back through my IV meds, and it wasn't working. And they were going to keep me there. And then they're like, you know what? Just take these blood thinners and beta blockers, and just head on your way 20 hours back to Texas. And I was like, can we try to shock me to try to get the rhythm back? Because I don't. My wife canceled her flight because they flew in. And they were going to cancel their flight and ride back with me at least. But regardless, I didn't want to ride in the car 20 hours with my heart all messed up. And
Right.
so they're like, all right, we'll try it. And they hooked it up there to me. Cardio version is what it's called for those that are more medically inclined. And man, they put the pads on my chest and they like barely sedate you on some Versed. And dude, I swear I didn't hear them talking about it or nothing. And all of a sudden it hit me with a shock to my chest. And I probably came about 2 feet up out of that hospital bed and like yelled for like 3 seconds straight.
God,
And it kind of just like shocked me and woke me up. And everyone's just, there's like 6 or 7 doctors and nurses in the room staring at me like, and they knew it was going to happen. I guess it's pretty common that people yell and come out of it like that. But that shocked her back into orbit, and we're good to go. So yeah, today just this morning went and I've been to a cardiologist a few times. We did a stress test, which was weird and strange deal also. And then yeah, I got to wear a heart monitor for 3 days on my heart. So as far as they know and can tell, I'm completely healthy, and they can't figure out what happened with it. So we're just taking all the precautions to make sure that it stays normal and keeps getting better.
man, I hope so. I can't imagine. You hollered. Did it hurt? Like, was it painful?
It was like getting hit in the chest with a bus. It felt like out of like a dead sleep.
Oh man.
It didn't hurt so much as it just like was so much pressure at once on my chest is what it felt like. And it was my chest was sore for like 5 days afterwards because it hits you so hard. But I mean that's the same paddles they put on you when you're having a heart attack or anything like that. So
Yeah.
um, definitely should try to keep one of those around you. I need to look into getting one of those. I think it'd be good to have around the house or just anywhere that I'm out on the boat or something, because that could happen to anyone at any time where they go into VFib, which is an actual more serious case of a heart attack.
Yeah, I thought about that too with the guiding and the teaching that I do. A lot of times, I'm out in the boat with sometimes some folks that are maybe elderly, and um, who knows? Could happen to anybody, but you could be in
Mhm.
a situation where you have to use something like that. So I've thought about bringing it into my boat. You might be putting me over the top here. I remember my dad had a heart attack at my house, and they had to hit him with those paddles. And I was there, and I remember I was like holding his foot, like just trying to connect with him as he was going through his disaster that day. And I remember the medics on site were screaming at me to let go of him, because the shock is so powerful that it would have traveled right through my dad and got me,
Yep.
and probably knocked me out. So man, having that shock directly to your chest like you experienced, man, that's like you said, it's like getting hit in the chest with a bus. Well, I'm glad you're good, man. I'm glad they
Me
got that
too,
heart
man.
back on track. We need that. We need more Ben Milliken.
Some
But
would disagree with that, but I appreciate that, Pete.
well, we want some more, and you've been really active and busy traveling around and doing what you do, and the hunt for big fish continues in the Ben Milliken world. That's amazing. What's new? What's happening out there?
Yeah, I mean, really, the whole summer we pretty much said goodbye to the hot, sticky weather down here in Houston, even during our time off, and our breaks were kind of set up funky with the Elite Series this year. So we're like, you know what? Let's go fish and travel and do some stuff that we wanted to do for a while. And if we're gonna be, we're gonna be towing our RV around, 2 trucks and a boat and an RV around. It's gonna cost a lot of money. We might as well not make the trips back to Texas and just go some cool places we've wanted to go, and some we'd already been before. And so we traveled. I mean, we took our kids all the way from Texas up to South Dakota, Montana, Idaho, Oregon, Utah,
Yeah.
Colorado, back through to go to the last 2 Elite Series tournaments. And so that was a wild trip. And then, I mean, we got back for about 3 weeks, and I decided to go fish the U.S. Open, which is where I was out in Nevada out there. And so that was
Okay.
a week and a half ago that I fished the tournament out there. And then we've just kind of sort of been laying low since then,
That's you've earned the the laying low.
Yeah.
Good night. What a trip.
Yeah, it was wild, man. It was so much fun and so cool. Like, we love the north. Obviously we don't
Man.
love scooping snow. So we moved down to Texas. But yeah, it was great to be able to do that and have our kids experience that this summer as well.
Well, hit me with a couple highlights, man. On that circle.
Yeah, man. So I actually, something that I've always loved to do is trout fish in rivers and creeks for like natural browns. I prefer to fish for
Right
browns because they eat a lot of bigger baits and glide baits and stuff,
on.
which trout fishermen on social media don't approve of very much, apparently. But I have always thought that, learning those current seams and fishing the current that trout set up in helps me so much when I fish current for bass. That's not specifically why I do it, but it definitely helps, and I enjoy it a ton. Something about being in a crystal clear, cold, ice cold creek when it's 95 degrees outside is special. So doing that was super fun. But then, we got out to Idaho and just absolutely crushed smallmouth. I'm not gonna say just giant ones, but so many 3 to 6 pound smallmouth on fun baits, and that's the reason I went out there. Which I'll throw a bait this size to a dang smallmouth all day, 1 inch long, whatever it takes to catch them on scope or whatever you're doing, no problem. But it also, I think, to get cool content and things that are a little bit different is to kind of get away from that Great Lakes smallmouth type of bite and fish for some of these fish that are more pelagic. They're eating giant baits. They're eating top waters, and that's what was going on. It was, out there, it was 95 degrees plus every single day we were out there for a week. And so, like, giant schools of smallmouth that were eating kokanee salmon, and that I was able to catch them on, Magnum walking top waters, 9 inch glide baits, 10 inch glide baits. Really the best thing I could throw out there, it seemed like, was a Magnum flutter spoon, like an 8 inch flutter spoon, which
No
was pretty
kidding.
special to catch smallmouth on that. Yeah, because
Yeah.
they were actually, I mean, it was kind of interesting. You couldn't really catch them on a drop shot or a jig head minnow, which of course is like the standard these days, because they were eating such fast moving bait fish and it was such warm water. I mean, for them anyways, it was high 70s still, low 80s. So it wasn't super warm water, but warm for them relatively. And they wanted something blasted by them. You had to get them to react. And so those big, super aggressive moving baits triggered a bite better than anything that was slower, finessey, which was super fun.
Man, that is fun. I loved. I know the Great Lakes smallmouth are, it's typically one drop shotting and that kind of stuff. But man, I take every opportunity I can to get up on the bank and fish for them suckers with top waters and chatterbaits and that's the funnest smallmouth fishing that there is. It sounds like out there that's exactly what you did.
Yeah, for sure. And then we went to Eugene, Oregon. That was special out there too. I mean, that's why I love traveling around. You get to experience some of these fishing cultures around the country that you never knew existed. And I mainly went out there because there's a little lake out there that's putting out, like, it's definitely got the world record spotted bass in it. But I caught a bunch of 6 and 7 pound spotted bass in that lake, and that was pretty incredible. I never caught spots like that before. and caught a bunch of largemouth the same way. And they're northern strain largemouth, but clean water. It's a weird climate up there. It's pretty temperate, so like a lot of the lakes up there in Eugene don't freeze in the winter, which is kind of like what you guys have, I think, with some of the temperate areas up in the Northeast that you don't really think about in other parts of the country. Being from Nebraska in the Midwest, everything freezes over in the winter, even if it's only for a couple weeks or a month. Sometimes it's 3 or 4 months, but yeah, it's really cool up there. Different climates. You drive 45 minutes and fish a mountain lake, and it'd go from 100 degrees down in Eugene up in the mountain lake. It's 65 degrees outside, just in a short drive. So I just love new bodies of water, new challenges like that. And we caught some really good northern strain largemouth, a couple of 8-pound northern strains, which was super cool. And then on the way back east, we stopped at a place I'd wanted to take my boat for a long time. Flaming Gorge is the reservoir. It's on the Utah Wyoming border. It's a really big lake, but it's just like it's so out there and absolutely beautiful. And it's a smallmouth fishery. When it comes to bass, it's mainly a lake trout fishery, and so I dabbled in that a little bit too. And it was very challenging. They're very smart there because it's the only thing that gets fished for really. Accidentally caught the state record smallmouth bass while I was there, unverified because he had release and pretty incredible, beautiful area out there at Flaming Gorge. I'd strongly recommend to anyone that wants to go experience something.
What's the status of your state record? What's going on?
So it was that part of the lake was catch and release only. So I released it right away. You can't even take it to the bank to do anything with it. So the state record that I beat was at a different lake, but at Flaming Gorge on the north end of the lake, it's catch and release. So it was an unofficial type state record, but makes for a good video title anyway.
Makes for a great day of fishing too.
What was the weight on that fish, Ben?
It was 6'4", so it wasn't like a enormous record. 5'9" was the previous record, but man, it's cool. It's a really cold body of water at altitude, and so the water stays low temperature and the smallmouth stays super fat all year.
Man, that's a beautiful smallmouth no matter what, and a lot of fun. What a cool trip. That's the one part of the country I've never fished, and that like northwest section of it, and we've heard those big spotted bass coming out of that area, and some of the lakes up there. The tournament trails never go there. What would and I think there's a lot of reasons for that. It's money, it's travel, it's getting the fan base there, that sort of thing. But any of the lakes you visited, would they make good tournament sites? Would it be fun to have a tournament
on? I'm trying to think if anything in the northeast or the northwest, sorry, would be able to hold a tournament that I went to. And one that definitely would be an amazing place to go would be the Columbia River up there. I didn't fish it because when we drove past it, the wind was blasting 40 miles an hour down the canyon. And I know they've had some national tournaments there before, but it's it looks to be as big and deep and dynamic as the St. Lawrence River up there. And it sounds like it doesn't produce the big, well, I mean, it actually has some 7-pounders come out of it, but it doesn't produce as many 25-pound plus limits as the St. Lawrence does for smallies. But it sounds like you can catch like 70 or 80 3 to 4.5 pound smallies a day out there. And just looking at it on a topo map, which again, I didn't get to launch the boat at it because it was so freaking windy. It's got the same type of island heads and super deep, 100+ foot deep current seams, so you can fish deep, shallow. There's salmon in it, so that's like the primary forage is the little salmon. They call them smolt when they're little baby guys that the smallies go crazy on. So you get a little bit of like the traditional smallmouth bite and a little bit of like that pelagic bait fish type smallmouth bite too, which I think would be super cool. But again, I don't know the logistics of getting the people that need to be there and the support from the local chambers of commerce that are required to host a major event. But that would be a damn cool place to have one for sure.
Love to see it, man. And we hadn't, man, they hadn't been out west for a while. I hear Clear Lake is back on fire after it had a bit of a downturn, and it's putting them out. I'd love to see the tournaments go back there again. Maybe we'll see that in one of these upcoming years. But what a great trip, and catching some what you call a state record. We're talking about big fish. If I want to ask you this, because I know we talked a lot. You left Texas, but I want to bring you back there, possibly, depending on your answer. Guy wants to go out and catch a big fish right now, catch a 10-pounder. Where should he go? Where's the best place that Ben Milliken would send somebody? Say, Ben, I want to catch a double-digit fish, a lifetime fish. Where do I go?
As far as a lake, is that what you're talking about? A specific lake? Oh, J.B. Thomas in West Texas, 100% chance. There's guys that are not great fishermen out there catching 50-pound limits all the time. So, yeah, definitely there. It's almost purely a live scope bite. Proficiency with live scope is a lot of it, but it's not a difficult place to catch a 10-pounder right now.
Is that dirty water lake?
Yep.
That's interesting. Yeah, I've been seeing that. That's still on fire right now, man. That's great. That's great to hear.
Yeah, the cool thing with that place is there's so much forage in the lake. If you put your trolling motor down and look in the water column, it's like 20 feet deep, top to bottom. It's not even balls of bait. It's baby crappie, little gizzard shad, stuff like that. Top to bottom, it almost makes it extremely difficult to scope sometimes because there's so much bait everywhere you put the motor down. But those big bass just freaking float around and suck in food all day because that's there. And so they stay, as fat or even bigger in the summer months when it's 100 degrees every day out there as they do in the pre-spawn. So it's one of those places that definitely just has wild genetics and forage base right now.
Man, that's exciting. In the stained water, are you still shaking minnows for those fish, or does it open up some other opportunities?
No, it's as loud as you can get, and then just being precise with your casts and stuff. So most of the guys out there throw like a big, like the 6 cents braid swim jig, and they'll make like a straight chartreuse one or a straight pink one or a straight white one, and they'll put a big flapping craw trailer, a matching one on the back of it. And it's interesting. It's almost like fishing for catfish because you're just trying to get their attention in some stained water.
Oh,
Man.
Light bulb just went off for me here.
Yeah, throwing a big bright a swim jig, of course, is quite a bit more natural than a big spinner bait or a big chatter bait. But at the same time, you're donking them on the head if you can with something that's on 25-pound fluoro or 20-pound fluoro and a jig rod. So definitely a good time.
Sounds like, is it a numbers place, or are you hunting for one bite a day?
Almost everything out there is huge. Like, it's hard to catch one under 6 pounds there. And you can go, 2 or 3 days where you catch one fish or, none or 2 or 3. But then you'll have one of those days mixed in, like every 4th or 5th day where you catch 10 or 12 fish. When those days happen, you can catch 8 or 10 fish over 10 pounds. So
that's amazing. That's awesome. And it kind of, we were talking internally about fishing and this style and what it takes mentally to deal with that. Like fishing for the biggest fish in the lake is a different strategy than a lot of people. Well, certainly tournament guys are used to. It can cause your heart to go into AFib sometimes, maybe going for 3 days without a bite. How do you deal with the mental side of that?
Well, one thing what I think caused me to go into AFib was sitting on the hot seat at the U.S. Open for an hour and 20 minutes, waiting and being stressed until I got bumped at the last second. So ironically, it was a tournament that did that. But to answer your question, it's all mindset, man. It is 100% mental. Just like we talk about, everyone likes to just use the cliche, fishing is whatever percentage mental that's a high number. And that's just part of the mentality, man. It's the same thing as your mentality shift from if you were fishing MLF on the Bass Pro Tour, or if you were fishing the Elite Series for 5 fish, you're just got to switch over to fishing for a certain caliber of fish. And I guess really the biggest thing for me is people need to make sure they're doing it for the right reasons. I don't think I think there's a lot of that these days, which guys are strictly going to like get an Instagram picture, and I think it wrecks their time if they don't get that. They don't try to learn anything. They're just strictly there for 1 bite or 2 bites for however long, just so they can get those hero shots and put a bunch of fish in the live well, which you shouldn't be
Right.
putting 10 or 12 pounders in the live well for more than however long it takes you to get your picture and dump them. But um, I'll get off that high horse, I guess. But it just to kind of go back. I mean, you need to understand how big fish set up, how they're what they're looking to do, what and really how to target them.
And it comes out of the gate like all right, I'm not trying to catch numbers today. I'm going to keep it's hunting, really.
It is.
you're
Yep.
you're looking
Yeah.
for the biggest buck, and you're going to let others walk by.
Yeah, 100%. You got to be okay with that. And that's kind of always been the big bait mentality with a lot of guys. And that's something that I never really could get into, was like getting that 1 bite every couple days. Because I like to catch them too much, man. I have too much fun trying to catch them. But, that's one nice thing about these Florida strain bass down here. You're going to get multiple opportunities at least for a fish that big. Some days you might get 20 opportunities to throw at, a 7, 8+ pounder. Uh, and there's so many good ones down here that you're just going to run into them eventually, and that. And so it makes it a little bit easier to keep that mindset, as opposed to like when I was up in Nebraska. Our state record up there is 10 pounds 15 ounces, and it was from like the 1970s. And I'm gonna straight up say that had to have been a lie, because I mean, I caught in 30 years, I caught 2 bass over 7 pounds, and right at 7 pounds, and I've never saw one that was over 8 pounds. And a fish that's 3 pounds bigger than that is absolutely wild. And so we would love to say, hey, we're gonna go look for the state record at this lake or at this lake, and it's like, it's not going to happen. You're very, very, very good chance you're not going to catch one over 6 pounds, let alone 7, let alone 11 pounds. So you got to kind of narrow your sights before you even get to the lake at somewhere that's going to have a lot higher percentage before you get your heart broken, because that's going to really, make you not want to get out there and do it over and over and put the time in that you need if you're getting discouraged super quick before you even get out on the water.
You gotta embrace the grind.
Yep.
Right. And man, it's tough because like guys that are trying to do this kind of, or new to it anyway, like going a day. I mean, how do you deal with that? A day without any fish caught? I mean, that's a learning experience.
It is. And it seems like as soon as you think that you got this fishing thing figured out a little bit is usually right when you get kicked in the teeth, whether that be with giant fish or a tournament or whatever. Um, I honestly, I try to plan my fishing trips around bodies of water where there's another body of water nearby, because sometimes you go places and you can't control it for whatever reason. And this happens a lot. I'm going to say it probably happens like 20 or 30% of the time you go somewhere and it's just off for whatever reason, some type of, external environmental factor that we can't feel or whatever. No. And you're not going to catch them. And you can, time on the water and time doing it, I think, helps you understand when those days are about to happen. Obviously, if you're fishing a tournament or you're pre-fishing for a tournament, you can't change where you're going to be, and so you just stick it out and grind. But I try to go places that I at least know that I can hop to a different lake if things are really going bad.
That's certainly a good strategy if you have that kind of time to work with. And if you're, let me ask you this about seasons: is this the time to catch the biggest fish of the year? Is it the springtime? When really is the best time to get that big fish?
So it's tough for me to say that down here because we're like finally getting a little bit of a cool down and a little bit of fall weather, which you guys know how early fall, late summer is. It's the toughest time of the year. It's this down here right now is you guys is September, late August.
Right.
And so it's tough right now, but as a whole, once things consistently stay cooler, absolutely, I think this is a better time of the year to catch one, to catch a giant one. As we get into late November, in the rest of the country, water temperatures and I've caught fish in the Midwest in upper 30s, mid 30s water, no problem, and you can catch giant ones like that. But once the water gets down below like 65, I think something really seems to happen where they get more susceptible to being caught. They get a little bit more predictable. They're not just roaming around in that fall funk where they're migrating, and there's factors happen with turnover and oxygen depletion, all this crap that's been late summer, early fall. But yeah, to make a short answer long, yes, I think this is the best time of the year. And I also really love that I don't hunt, and so that gets a lot of the pressure off the lakes for the first time all year.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah, it's a great time of year to fish, and we say it all the time. Just in general, it's a great time, but certainly, well, you're letting us know it's a big fish time of year too. The you're known, right? You're the big fish or the big bait guy. What you're one of those guys. I mean, with the advent of forward technology and what's changing over there, is that man catching the biggest fish of your life, is that still the best strategy, or what are your confidence tools to get that big fish?
Yeah, I think this time of year, fall into the winter, that's definitely the best strategy for me to make yourself most efficient and be able to kind of look at what's out there, obviously, and put your bait in position of a fish that's the right size caliber. In the spring, the pre-spawn, spawn phase, into the summer, even when they're schooling a little bit more, definitely don't have to have it. It's definitely it's almost a lot of times during the spawn and just afterwards, it's not a good thing actually to spend a lot of your time staring at the screen. But fall into the winter is a time when I really like to use it because like I was saying, in the late fall and mid to late fall and into the early winter, it really seems like the bass try to they try to set up on stuff again, kind of like they do in the pre-spawn, the early pre-spawn, and they want to sit, the big ones anyways, kind of want to sit more on more predictable isolated cover. And I love to fish offshore. This was my deal before forward facing or anything. So I always start offshore no matter where I'm at. Forward facing has allowed me to be a lot more efficient. But this time of year, I mean, they want to set up on something that's hard on the bottom, on a rock pile or something, especially the cooler it gets. I love hard cover, isolated stumps, main really profound grass structures, whether that be a creek channel that's going into a grass edge or a point on the edge of the creek channel with some grass on it. They want to be on the juice spots on the body of water, and they're finally setting up there. Even if it's a super heavily pressured lake, you're going to find some fish on those structures or nearby. And so, yeah, being able to pinpoint your casts and being able to pinpoint, how those fish are reacting to your baits is very important to me this time of year. And then, of course, as we get into winter, we start to talk more about, of course, if you're in a body of water that doesn't freeze or doesn't get crazy cold, bait ball fish that roam around and chase those bait balls. That was one thing with forward facing, of course, we talk about a lot, that was kind of a misconceived notion that the fish kind of get dormant and they kind of just hang out in the winter and you got to pause your jerk bait 45 seconds to get a bite. Although I have done that and caught them on that. The fish get out and they move, but they'll start relating to that bait a lot more. Threadfin shad is the bait that I'm referring to. Seems like down here anyways, November, which would be, earlier up about everywhere else, they like to get on the gizzard shad bite on some of those offshore structures, and then into the winter they get a lot more suspended. And it's really, for me, it's the only time of the year when I can catch giant ones, 8+ pounders that are eating bait fish that are real small threadfin shad. I don't think they would prefer at all to eat threadfins the rest of the year, but I think it's just too easy to eat those really slow, lethargic threadfin shad in the wintertime. They can eat a lot more of them a lot easier.
Yeah, wow, just open their mouth and just run through the bait ball.
Yeah, I've seen it. And when the water gets below like 45 down here, which it usually does for a couple weeks, those thread fins, you can watch them get eaten on scope and the ball doesn't even move. They just get sucked in.
That's amazing. Well, the baits that you're using, are going to range, but let's talk about the big baits.
Yep.
That's what, you're notorious for. Give me like a top three of Ben's big baits right now. Has that changed, or you going back to some new, or you got some new stuff, or what are you using?
I do have some new stuff that I can't talk about because it is absolutely deadly. Riz knows about these potentially. But as far as swim baits go, my favorite bait to throw in the fall when they're getting off on these deep structures that are really set up, whether that be a stump, a rock pile, any of the grass stuff I was talking about, points, would be the 6 Sense Hangover. A line through swim bait in that 6 to 7 inch size range is an absolute killer for me. And I love it because I almost exclusively catch fish that are 3, 4+ pounds on it. I don't get a lot of those 2 pound bites on that bait. And I can fish it for suspended fish. I can fish it up high in the column, but I can really, slow wind that thing and grind it into the bottom and make it collide against different types of habitat down there, which is just like a big crankbait or something, getting a reaction deflection strike. So that's a bait that I always keep in my hand. Another one, I would say definitely for if you have highland reservoirs, especially into the mid to late fall, a buzz bait or a big walking bait is something that is traditional. Big plopper style bait. That's a Ozark killer in the fall. But if you supplant that with like a 8 or 9 inch glide bait, something that you can work really, really quickly. I fish my 6 Sense draw like that. I fish a KGB Legend like that. That is a bait right up against that chunk rock with some of that deep water access, any type of rock transitions in those highland reservoirs. As we get in that 65 to 50 degree water temperature, that is absolutely deadly. Yep. If you guys are on a buzz bait bite, if you're on a big walking bait bite, a plopper bite on rock style lakes, I can promise you're probably going to get some bigger bites and maybe even more bites on that big 8, 9 inch glide bait that you can work really quickly. This isn't a slow, tapering style glide. I'm talking about covering water, fishing a pattern, finding those whatever rock transition that they're on that day and really working that bait aggressively. And then the last one I would definitely. What's up, Riz?
Can you talk a little bit more about the speed on the 8 inch draw? Like, reel ratio, like, are you burning or are you just keeping it at like a steady pace? Does it matter? Some because like you said speed with that size bait, and I instantly I envision the bait, I see what it's doing, and it starts to make sense. Talk a little bit more about that size combined with speed.
So when I work so this is a new bait I'll show you guys. This is a 6 inch judo. This is a smaller 6 inch glide bait we're coming out with. It's called the judo because it chops so well. That'll be out here in November from 6 Sense. But when I'm working a bait like that, it's as quicker than when I'm working like a spook or something like that. But when I'm working a bigger bait, like the 9 inch draw, it doesn't have the ability to walk that quick side to side. But I'm also fishing it a lot quicker than I would just, a bait that I'm throwing like a 10 inch glide where I'm actually scoping fish with it. I'm casting individual fish, trying to methodically work it. And I will work a couple quick twitches in to get them to react if they're following it. But it's more steady with that, that big draw, the 9 inch draw, the KGB Legend. You can fish the clutch boss like that a little bit, but it's a little bit more of a scoping bait to me. We'll talk about that in a second. But it's kind of like a chop, 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 chop. That's how fast I'm hitting my rod. With this thing, it's like da 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 as quick as I can. But with that 9 inch bait, it maintains its position without rolling and doing anything crazy. But still, man, I've seen so many times where this bigger 9 inch bait moving that fast, which is quick for that bait, it's just pushing so much water and has so much draw power that it just pulls fish out. You catch fish on it that are this big, you catch fish on it that are 7-8 pounds, and it's just, to me, that's the best big bait you can throw in the water temperatures in that like 50 to 65 degree range.
The drawing power is, I think, where the light bulb went off for me of like, okay, that makes sense. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
your body water and how much water that's actually moving. Is you mentioned chop, but you also mentioned steady retrieve. Is it both, or is it one or the other is better?
So I won't reel it through the retrieve. I'm imparting action with my rod the entire time, or with my reel handle, really quick, sharp motions of my reel handle. I
Right.
don't want the bait just meandering side to side. I
Right.
want it sharp motion, quick, hard turns to really,
Right.
pull a fish and make a decision. That's really my goal with a lot of these. I think no matter where, and that's because I'm trying to cover water. I'm trying to fish a pattern. I'm trying to fish, high percentage areas, whether that be a chunk rock, a rock transition, a channel swing bank, a point where some of that rock's coming in. I'm trying to fish areas where I'm covering water to see what's going on, as opposed to, throwing to a specific, throwing it with a big 10 or 12-inch glide, throwing it out over a brush pile, throwing it next to a dock where I'm methodically, I know where that fish is going to set up.
Yep.
With this, you're covering water and trying to pull as many as possible.
You're trying to draw them in.
That's right.
Sorry to derail you there. Keep going with your list.
Oh, you're good. And then the last one would be, like a 10-inch glide bait. That's when it's and the cool thing is I've caught them on those 10-inch, those bigger glides, whether that be a Hinkle shad, a clutch boss, bigger ones like the I can't even think of the name of it. The Moby. It's a 16, 15-inch bait. I've caught them with those baits when the water temperature's in the high 30s down here in Texas, low 40s, no problem. And those are baits where the fish are going to be set up on whatever they like to set up in the winter. And a lot of times there's days when they're on those bait balls and you cannot catch them on the exact same looking thing that they're eating. But you throw a big bait and they react to it. And so that's when I'm throwing a bigger, slower, meandering bait like that 10 or 12-inch glide bait that I'm still pulling it through the glides with my rod, my reel handle, but it's slow. It's a lot slower. And then I will impart like a 1-2 really quick if the fish are, really following that bait and not closing the gap anymore on scope. That's when I'll try to, play cat and mouse with them a little bit. And again, they'll do some things that you don't expect them to do in the winter when the water's really cold. They'll get a lot more active than you would think.
My son had an epic glide bait catch at his high school championship tournament this year, where he skipped underneath the pontoon and he got a hold of a 5-pounder and was able to get him up over a cable and get him into the net. And it put the boys in contention to win the high school championship on day one. And it was awesome. But what I wanted to, it brings me to the question. He was rigged correctly and he did a good job at managing that fish. Well, are you modifying your hooks, or, what rod and line, specifically when we're talking about the bigger glides, fish are notoriously coming off those baits.
Yeah.
What are some tips you can offer us?
Yeah. So, I mean, the biggest thing that I learned when I fished with Oliver Nye a few times is it's totally different than other types of fishing. You got to get a hook in them the first time. The first time you feel that weight, you drive the hooks home and you don't let them do anything else the rest of the way back to the boat. You grind them until they hit the net or they hit the deck. And that's burned me before as well. I lost the biggest fish I hooked at 10 killer this year, no problem, skiing it in all the way, go to boat flip it on my Chad shad, and my line breaks as it goes to leave the water because I caught a bunch of fish that day. And that's something that should never happen, but I was lazy and didn't retie, and I was fishing around a lot of rock right on the bank, so it just happened. But I mean, not to scare everyone, that is the most important thing to catching, really any fish with a glide bait, but especially giant ones, and especially the bigger bait you go, the higher chance you're going to have of losing them. But fishing, but grinding them to the boat once they're hooked up, and just keeping you can't do anything about them jumping, but what you don't want to do is get caught waiting for them. You get the hook into them, you grind it, and then they're down low, and then you feel that line start to slack and they're coming straight up. If you stop your reel and you go, that's when that fish is gone like 90% of the time.
Yep.
So they leave the water, they get on the surface and thrash their head. Doesn't matter. You grind them to the boat, all the way to the boat until they hit the net. That's the most important thing. I do use some hooks that I really like for some of those big baits. I haven't talked about it a lot, but the Ryugi Pierce Brutal is by far my favorite giant bait hook. It's not a great hook for if you're throwing like a smaller chopping style glide where they're kind of slapping at it. I like a round bend better for that because you end up foul hooking some of them, which is, not a terrible thing to me if you're not doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
And they're just gonna miss it a lot. And that Pierce Brutal is kind of got a little bit. It's not like an EWG, but it's kind of an in between, kind of like more of like an O'Shaughnessy style bend, and it's very very hard and stiff and just people are probably cutting this up right now. But it's a hook that has a hard point, and it does not flex when you hit them with it, which is the most important thing to getting the hook driven home in a giant fish's jaw. And so I like to do that. I've been known at times to do braid split rings to aid in the rotation of the hook. A lot of these baits, these newer baits, also come with rotating hook hangers, so that's something that can eliminate the need for braid split rings. But if they're fixed hook hangers, tying those braid split rings, watching the Ott Defoe video, he does my favorite one. That to me is some ways that I try to eliminate it. But really the biggest thing is, don't, and this is tough, you also can't set the hook like you're slack gliding a jig or a Texas rig. You're fishing you gotta think about it. You're throwing a bait with a treble hook on it, but this treble hook on it is not much bigger than what you're throwing on a medium diving crankbait or something like that. And you're obviously not slacklining and setting the hook on that. So you gotta firmly lean whilst getting the hooks driven home. And I also find that the less that you're, slacklining and jacking them, then the more you're leaning into it is going to allow you to grind that fish to the boat from the start of your hook set all the way back, more so than a big wind up and crush them, and then the fish is already coming towards you, and then you're playing catch up the whole way in, and they're jumping and doing what they want. So a big glide is something that you have to have your body and your mind ready for and then position for before that fish even bites.
Yeah. I could see that. You're right. Those hooks aren't quite as big, and you gotta lean. And when it's hard because you see a lot of these strikes, whether it's on forward facing or you're visually seeing them. And man, the knee jerk reaction is to freaking lay into them,
Yep.
Uh,
Definitely. And I'd be lying if I said that's something that I don't screw up a lot still. It's just, I just can't help myself, especially in the Elite Series and some of these bigger tournaments where I'm already on level 10 and I'm watching, tournament winning fish on my bait constantly and just having to be like, all right, slow down. When this one bites, use your mechanics. If he's not stuck, don't swing. Like so much is going through your head in a split second of time that you really got to just chill out and remember your mechanics.
There it is. Remember your training.
That's right.
Milliken. Remember your training. When you're doing the braid split ring, what on a big bait like that, 65 pound? Are you upgrading the line? What pound test are you using?
Yeah, usually 65. I'll tie like 30 or 40 on like some of my jerk baits with like little tiny hooks or little finesse crankbaits. But of course, I want to go as heavy as I can get away with. And then like having a really pliable braid is really nice for that as well. Otherwise, it's already a pain to tie it up and it takes forever. But having a pliable braid helps you tie those knots and get them the right length and everything without screwing up the length of your split ring too much and making it too long or not long enough. So Daiwa Samurai is what I like to use when I can. That's a really soft, very good braid for holding up its strength and durability over time. I think in all the fish that I've caught and like boat flipped on a big bait, I've had one that the hook came undone as the fish like hit the deck. But besides that, I was freaked out about it at first. But besides that, that's the only failure I've had.
Is that braid super slick?
Just no, I think it's just the Daiwa Samurai, just the regular samurai braid. That's the one I like to use. 70 pound, I think, is what they call theirs.
Gotcha. It is like that Daiwa. Sorry, I'm getting weird about the braid here.
It's all good.
I'm in the midst of a braid challenge as I was breaking off punching fish late this year. The Samurai braid, does it have the same like thumb abrasion as like Power Pro, or is it like the like the super slick woven braided
Yeah,
line?
it's softer and more woven, but it doesn't have like a slick coating like a lot of them do. I mean,
Okay.
honestly, dude, I would get it. I'm not sponsored in any way by them or have any affiliation. I would get a spool of 70-pound Samurai for frogging and flipping and try to break it. I don't think you could.
Is that what you're frogging and flipping with? Is that
Yep.
brand? That same one?
Yeah.
I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah. It's good stuff. And it's really quiet, really smooth, supple, doesn't lose its strength or color for a long time.
Yeah.
Again, zero affiliation with Daiwa or the line, but I really like it.
Hey, if it
We're
works, it works.
working on Rich, Ben. We've had some break off issues.
I've been
this
listening.
year.
I thought that was interesting what Brian Schmidt said about tying different knots. I don't know, man. I've with punching, I've maintained a snell knot for a long time. I caught a bunch of fish on it the other day, punching grass actually. So
Yeah, the Palomar solved that problem, but you know, I don't think it's the right solution because and we're getting off into a totally different show here now, but the Snell hook percentage with the big weight is still. I don't want to sacrifice that, you know. So the adjustment has to come from somewhere else. It's got to either go up to 65 or, you know, stop being completely blackout when I get a bite and lean and pull, you know, a little bit of.
I really try not to slackline and jack when I'm punching too. I mean, I'm sure everyone's got their opinions on that. It's easier said than done, but I really, you know, I've found that when I'm out of position, when I'm punching with my body, when a fish catches me off guard, I catch those fish almost 100% of the time because they get a chance to get the bait, and I'm just kind of reeling into them a lot more. And so I try to reel into them and not crush them as much as I possibly can. I feel like you can almost just reel in with punching, I feel like, and catch almost every fish.
Right. Back to the big bait, the big glide. You mentioned mechanics and how important they are in landing fish. More specifically, is that like rod angle? Is it body positioning? Is it hooks, like hooks that lean? Like what are the mechanics for a big bait?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is obviously you want to have your rod tip pointed almost directly at the bait when you're retrieving it, because that's going to give you the most ability to drive them home. I use a rod. It's a 6 Sense Mag Glide. It's in our Team USA series. It's kind of an expensive rod, but it's the only rod I've found that can effortlessly throw a 5, 6, 7 ounce bait and still kind of have a slower taper like a crankbait rod. A little bit faster than like a crankbait, but way slower than most, you know, like pool cues that are way overpowered in my opinion. And so basically, point the rod tip at the fish. You feel that tick, and you know, a couple hard cranks to make sure that that line is tight, because a lot of times they're eating it, and I mean, a 10-pound fish, when it sucks in a bait that's following, is going to move 2 feet forward when it probably eats the bait. If you swing right then, I mean, you think about that 2 feet plus, you got fluorocarbon. I'm always throwing fluoro on the big baits. That's a lot of stretch. Chances that you're going to swing, make up those 2 feet of line during your sweeping of your rod and your hook set, and keep grinding the fish to the boat at the same time are not great. So that's the biggest thing for me, is that split second, not to freak out and lose your mind because you just saw a 10-pound fish eat your bait on the screen, but to take your time and think about tick, reel into them, sweep, hard sweep, and then I like to bend my knees, get my body low, get my rod angle. You know, I don't like to dip my rod into the water. I freak out and worry about that. You know, kind of your rod tip hitting the water surface and throwing slack, or the fish doing whatever it wants to do. But I will keep my rod level with me, crouched down, or almost to the water, and be grinding them the whole way in. And I mean, if you're moving their head, if you don't let them get that freaking, you set the hook and your boat up and your pin and you're stopped there waiting, that's the time when you lose the most to me. At any point during the fight, is if you swing into that fish and you're holding it right there and you're not grinding, that is when you lose the fish. Whether it be immediately, the first jump, or at the boat, when you hit that fish, if you stop, you're probably going to lose it.
And that's with most techniques too, honestly.
Yep.
Like not just glide bait fishing. Like most techniques, if you hit them and you hit them hard enough and move that fish, and then you stop the handle, the after effect is going to be slack. And
yep.
Good stuff.
If you're throwing a EWG or a Carolina rig, or with a crankbait, you can get away with that stuff
Right.
than with that big bait with all that weight, and you're throwing, relatively, you're throwing tiny trebles compared to a really giant heavy bait. So yeah, that's the biggest thing to me. That first, when you swing, you need to at least be starting the grind process, because as soon as that fish turns its head one way to do its own thing, sometimes it can hook them better, but a lot of times you got issues.
What about the line that you're using? We 25-pound fluoro, or is there ever chance anytime you're using braid? What's your main line?
Yeah, for glides, especially big glides, really all of them, I'm using 100% fluoro, and I'm almost always throwing 25-pound. I like Gamma a lot. The 25 Gamma is almost like 30-pound anything else. It's a stiff line, and it's the strongest line that I've found, and so I don't have to worry too much about casting baits off, which I tend to do from time to time still. But that's the best I've found, and I'll go down to like 20-pound Gamma if I'm really on like a good chopping bait, Chad Shad style bite, because I think you get a little bit more movement and a little more liveliness from a bait if you're working it really quick. But they're 20-pound, so I don't think people need to worry about that. People worry so much about what the perfect line is, what the perfect rod is with those baits. I go as heavy as I can get away with, 25-pound usually with fluoro, and I keep it simple.
Love it. Love the Gamma line. I'm a big Gamma line fan as well. I have spent, like, we tournament fish. I tournament fish. I've not been a big game chaser historically. I've spent some time doing it, had a lot of fun doing it, but I've learned I ignored the moon phase. But I know a lot of big fish hunters don't ignore the moon phase. What do you say on the topic? Do you plan trips around it? Does it matter, or do you ignore it?
I wish I was fortunate enough with my time to plan trips around it, but I'm not. So I don't ever like cancel a trip because of it. But I'm always trying to be aware of when the moon set, the moon rises, and of course the moon phase for how it's affecting the fish that day. Because I know, and I feel like within a day of the big moon, of a full moon, it's a lot tougher to get bit on a moving bait, it seems like. And of course, a big glide kind of is an aggressive moving style bite to me. So I don't not do it, but I am a lot more cautious of knowing when to put the bait down, and try to be a lot more thoughtful of that, is to not force the bite on those types of days. And it also seems like, when the moon's big, or even when it's a new moon, that they do still bite really good, but the feeding window is a lot smaller, it seems like, when throwing a big bait. And so I really try to focus on those major feeding windows, which is going to be sunrise, moonset. I never do great with sunset for some reason. It seems to kind of shut everything down with the big bait, to me, anyways. I'm sure a million people comment on here that you got to be throwing a buzz bait when the sun's going down to catch your biggest fish of the day. But for me, that's what I've found, is that those three feeding windows, if I can try to capitalize on all three, of course, one of those is probably gonna be tough during the day too. Either the moon rise or set's probably gonna be in the middle of the night, or at least not when it's light outside. But that's how I try to look at it. And then any other time of the month, after a couple 3 days after the big moon, before the big moon, and the rest of the time, I don't really pay a ton of attention to it. I try to take a look at some of the moon rise, moon sets, and I don't know. It's more of a mental confidence thing at that point. I don't necessarily see a huge difference in activity level, but at the same time, if I'm throwing it and I got a lot of fish that are bumping the bait, not getting it just right, and all of a sudden, we got that moonrise or moonset that's coming in at noon or whatever, and it's 9:30, 10 in the morning. That's a time when I'll be like, okay, things might get a little bit more active here. We need to keep this honest because things probably will get a little bit better.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've heard that. Yeah, that exact thing. Like they're bumping it, they're missing it, but when the moon's right, they're going to connect. And
Yep,
that
it can
that's
be. There's, there's no rules or truths in fishing, I don't think, man. And so that's, you got to keep an open mind. But and it's to the point where as soon as you get it, I feel like I get something figured out. I'm like, okay, I know there's a giant on that tree. I'm coming back there at moonset. I go back and it won't even move like it moved 2 hours earlier. So I try to be in the best spots at the best times of that moonset, moonrise within a half hour or so of it. But still, it's all a big experiment.
I don't know if you're dialed into this world, but I want to ask you this question. We haven't seen anything threaten the world record for a while. Is that gonna happen? Is it ever going to happen again, or if it will, where do you think it will take place?
Well, I mean, but I know there's people everywhere, Texas, and I don't know if they do it in California and Japan, but or Florida even. I know Florida they do a little bit, but guys just having private ponds and trying to grow the biggest ones, whatever. But outside of
Yeah.
that in public waters, yeah, I think it'll get broken eventually. But it's not like I have somewhere in mind that I'm like, I need to go to, this lake in California because there's 18 plus pounders in there. I need to go to this lake in Texas because I know there's giants in there. I don't personally know or have any lakes like that where I think I could catch that. And of course, a 17 or an 18 pounder is way off of a 22 and a half. So
Yeah.
I think I don't know if Texas could grow that. Our state record's 18 pounds right at. That's a lot different than a 22 and a half. And California can't do it without, just a plethora of trout stockings over a long period of time, which they don't seem to want to do. And I don't know anything about
Mhm.
Japan other than it gets more and more pressured with better and better presentations all the time. So makes it harder up there as well. In Florida, you hear of 15s, 16s come out of Florida occasionally. I don't know what that looks like over there either, but there hasn't been a long history of, mid to upper teens getting caught consistently there at any point in time. So what
Yeah.
I'm saying is you'd have to have a pretty special circumstance in California for a long period of time for it to even think about a fish getting that big. And then again, maybe Japan, maybe there's giant ones there, maybe South Africa. Maybe
Right.
the rumors about Cuba float around every once in a while, but I think those
Yeah.
are folklore mostly because you don't even think you can go there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't see it happening for at least 10 or 15 plus years, and that's if everything gets right on track now in California, which it won't.
It's interesting, and this just occurred to me as we're talking here, Ben. The tournament weights have gone up and up, and a lot of that's credited to forward facing sonar, his capabilities, and in helping us be more consistent, getting bigger fish all the time. But the threats at the world record have not gone up. In my assessment, with that new technology, like you would think that we would be hearing about it, like, oh man, I'm stalking an 18 pounder. I'm stalking them every day. But I'm it doesn't seem like forward facing has helped that. I wonder if it's those bigger fish just aren't available these days. Um, around the world. I guess that must be the
Yeah.
case. Forward facing doesn't seem to be helping us.
Yeah, they're just not available, I think, and that's why it's so hard to see it getting broken. I mean, you see a couple giant ones, like a guy, I think a couple 17s came out of California the last 3 or 4 years. The guy just caught that 16 in Arizona a couple months ago. But again, that's 5 or 6 pounds. That's a long ways from that caliber of fish. And really, it's not that wild to see the difference between a 17-pound fish and a 11 or 12-pound fish. It's almost the same fish a lot of times, just built better. But
Yeah.
once you start talking about the difference between a 13 or a 12-pound fish and a 22 and a half, 23-pound fish, that's a whole nother double digit added on top of it. The frame and the forage doesn't have the ability to let it get there. But
Right.
who knows? It's not going to stop me from. I don't have a goal to go break the state of the world record here in Texas or anywhere else, but it's not going to stop me from trying to catch the biggest ones I can. There's still some places that I want to spend some more time at. Of course, you'd think a place like JB Thomas, if it got the right, better genetics, maybe, or the right framed ones from different places, maybe put in it, that there's just unlimited capabilities to grow by eating that small crappie and everything, the small gizzards and mid-sized gizzards constantly. Maybe that's the method, but I'm not a fisheries biologist in that capacity. That'd be a better question for them. As a fisherman, I don't see it happening for a long time, though.
I think guys are seeing them and they think they're carp or drum and they're not throwing at the 20-pounders. Wouldn't that be a heartbreak?
It would be. So when we first went out to Ivy, I thought it was going to happen. I really thought that we could, because the first day we were ever there, we caught a 16 and a half pounder, and it was like basically untouched. And so, I really thought, some of the blobs that were moving around out there could have been, but they were almost all carp, for sure, because they wouldn't even, stop. And so, man, I guess that's a place that could have a state record in it. I don't see it having a 20 plus, but maybe an 18. Obviously, there's been 16s and 17s caught there, and Joe's 16 stayed as the state or the lake record there for like 2.5 years after that, even with thousands and thousands of boats fishing there. So it was kind of fluky in a way as well.
Well, we'll have fun monitoring it. I know a lot of guys love to hunt trophies, man, and that you've given us some great tools as usual, and I appreciate that. I want to congratulate you. You mentioned it, man. You had a brilliant U.S. Open, and almost took that one. I always want to fish the U.S. Open. I've been saying it for years. For some reason, I never make it out there. But that one bass format where you're sharing the weight with your is that the first time you've fished in that format? Did you like it?
Yeah, it was the first time I ever fished it. As a boater, I really liked it because then you're not competing with your co-angler, and you can work together quite a bit more. And you can also be like, it eliminates the chance that, he's going to randomly catch a giant one in the back that's going to hurt you or something, that happens in tournaments. Unfortunately, that happened to me in the opens. Like, that's just part of it. And you got to expect it.
Mm-hmm.
But, and it also allows you to be like, I'm going to pinpoint these fish all day long. You throw a 7-inch, 8-inch glide bait all day long in the back. If you get no bites, cool, whatever. But if you catch one that's like a difference maker, that is amazing, and that'll go a long ways for us. So for a boater, if you're going to have a non-boater in the boat with you, it's the best possible format you can go with. As a AAA, as they call it, the amateur side of things, it's some good, some bad. I mean, really the best thing, as I tell all people that are fishing as co-anglers, is you need to watch and listen and learn. That is your time to learn and soak it in and absorb it, not try to outfish your pro. But the one thing that's kind of a negative for it is, like, my cousin Corey lives out in Phoenix. He signed up as a AAA with me to make sure he could get in. And he has a boat. He's a really good fisherman out there, actually. But he's like, what, I want to spend time with you in practice. We hadn't seen each other in a long time. So he went as a AAA, and he's like, I could literally not catch a fish the entire tournament and win the AAA side of things with the way it's set up, which unfortunately it is, for better or for worse, and so there is pluses and minuses from the AAA side, but from a boater side, I think it's as good of a format as you could come up with.
Well, it looks like you had fun. You came so close, except for sitting in that hot seat for so long out there. But
yeah, I wish I would have waited in like right before Spencer. That would have eased my heart probably a little bit. But I was like one of the earlier flights that day, and they spread it out with 170 boats. He came in at like 5:40 p.m. And so I was there forever before he came in. He was the last one, of course. It bumped me out, and I got second in that one. So congratulations to Spencer Sheffield, though, man. He's been there 4 times now. He's finished second twice. And so it was his time. It really meant a lot to him to win that one. It was my first time out there. I would have loved if he would have blanked the last day, or at least gotten second place. But but it is what it is, and he's put the time in. So hopefully, if and when we go back next time, I learned a few things that can get me over the top.
Wait, so
Yeah,
that
that-
wasn't at Mead?
No, is that Mojave is where they have it now. So
Mhm.
they have like a 5 tournament series during the year, where they do go to Mead, but
Yeah.
Mead's like still crazy low. And so they had a tournament there like 2 or 3 weeks before the U.S. Open. But yeah, it's at Mojave, which is like an absolute freaking gem. That's one place I'd love to see a major tournament trail go.
Yeah.
Maybe not to expose it as much as it could be, but it's a really big body of water. It doesn't fish super dynamic, but there's so many 3.5 to 4 pound smallmouth in that lake, and you can catch them from a foot of water to 80 feet of water. It's so fun. So, I mean, that's a really special place that I would be an option to see a big tournament go to if they went out west.
Did you
Yeah,
fish the
that's
whole
awesome.
trail?
No,
Or-
no. So it's still just a straight up open, like it's always been, where anyone in the country can hop in it. Yep.
Gotcha. So they you said they had 5. They're doing a 5 tournament trail.
It's 4 or 5. To Clear Lake a couple times. So I don't know if you guys remember, like last January or February is when they had that. They were the ones that had the Clear Lake tournament that was insane weights. It was a
Yeah.
3-day tournament. It took like 106 pounds to win or something. So
Now, is
I mean,
that's
it's
Western Outdoor News? Is that who puts that on?
yep.
Gotcha.
You got it. Yeah,
How
it was
were,
a good time. Very well run tournament. And I kind of look at it like it's a 20-hour drive for me from Texas, but I mean it's a
Wow.
20-hour drive to a lot of places. Going any direction to
Yeah.
fish major tournaments. So I really enjoyed it.
Nice.
That's always you
Are
said a
you gonna
mouthful there. Ben, 20 hours from your house is 40 hours from my house.
Yeah.
So that's
Holy
been
crap.
yeah,
That's
that's
a
been
hang up there,
stumbling block.
Hey, get this! On the way there, I looked at my my maps, and I had 6 hours left to get there, and I was still in Texas. So that's how big Texas is.
That is crazy. And I remember traveling through Texas thinking, yeah, we're at the state of destination, and you still have like 10 hours left to drive
Exactly.
to get to wherever you're going.
Yeah, but
Hey,
that's a really special tournament for sure. Anybody that is thinking about it should definitely go do it. It's worth it. The payouts definitely skew very much towards first place, and then after that, they're not great. But it's a $1,600 entry fee. It's cheaper than opens are these days to go
Yeah, you're
fish
right.
it.
Yeah.
It's really a lot of bang for your buck, and yeah, everyone gets 3 days too, so you're not worried about going out there and bombing 2 days and heading home.
What were your tactics out there? Just curious. What was Mojave? How'd you catch them?
So there's a ton of offshore points and stuff that really didn't play for me. They were good in practice. I had a bunch of those, some groups of fish and everything, better quality ones. But they freaking gone like smallmouth do. They left. I never were able to relocate them. So I caught every fish in like 2 to 7 feet of water. On a hair jig, little 6 cents wig hair jig, just a little black marabou, and a spy bait and some dice style baits as well. That's maybe my favorite way to fish is shallow smallmouth, and so I felt right at home. I scoped some of them, I sight fished some of them, and I mean I was catching 20 to 35 fish a day. Almost all of them over 3 pounds. So super fun.
Man, that sounds like a super fun scenario. And congrats on second place. Shout out to Spencer Sheffield for getting the dub after doing so well out there for so long. Man, we learned a lot. You want to catch a 10-pounder? You got to head to West Texas. We got a top secret bait that only Riz knows about that you're going to be releasing very, very soon. When are we going to hear about this new bait? Can you tell us the genre, the glide bait, soft plastic, boot tail? What are we talking about?
Oh, it's a plastic bait, and we're working on some prototypes of baits that'll move kind of similar to it that I think will be a little better even than what's already out there. But that's all the juice I can give you on that one, Pete.
I'm trying, Riz. But well, it's a good deal. Well, what's next for Ben, man? Dude, what are your plans for the upcoming season?
I have
What
I
you
have
doing?
no idea, Pete. I don't have an answer for you there. It sounds like there. I'm not going to say who it is, but there's definitely one guy from the elites that's stepping down, and then maybe another couple. It sounds like are going to retire or switch leagues or just be done fishing. So I'm the second guy out. Now I'm the first guy out with the one that's officially going to retire. So man, if I get back in, I still have no idea what I'm going to do. I need to figure
Yeah.
it out with my family and my life. Fishing the elites has always been my dream, but it takes a lot away from my job and my career. Unfortunately, which is kind of crazy to think that fishing the elite series would be a detriment to a career.
Sure.
But for what I do, it really, in my situation, it really dampers the amount of work and time I'm able to spend on getting better and more content out. So honestly, man, I'm not going to stop tournament fishing either way. But I don't have an answer for you there, Pete. I do know that I'm going to be doing a lot of big bass stuff here the next couple months, and so I'm excited for that. Not so much, practicing for tournament style strategies, but more so fishing for fish that look like this one back here. And so that's got me excited. Got a couple saltwater trips planned. One in Mexico coming up that I'm excited for to do some bigger game fishing, which will be sick, and then trying to dial things in and figure out what I'm doing next year, I guess.
Wow. Would you? When will you know? When you gonna make your call?
I think I have to probably so they also got to fish the last open to solidify more stuff. And I think we'll probably have to have our contracts done towards the end of November. So I'll have to know by then what I'm doing. So the next 6 weeks or so for sure.
Okay. Man, well, it's so much fun to have Ben Milliken out there on the elites. So it'll, that's my vote. But we'll look forward to hearing your decision and seeing how it all plays out. But I mean, you've had a heck in such a short time. You've accomplished more than many pro anglers will accomplish. With wins and just make classics. It's fantastic and it's so awesome to watch you make that transition. You've done it better than anybody in your position ever has done it. That's fantastic. So I'm rooting for you to get back out there on the elite tour. I want to watch it because I'm watching all the tournaments. I'm watching Bassmaster on Roku is fantastic. I get to rewatch all the tournaments that I didn't get to see. So it's a lot of fun checking it out. So I wish you best of luck in making that decision. I know you'll make the right one, buddy.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate everything kind you just said there, Pete. You guys have been very supportive along the way, and it's honestly it was as cool for me to come do the Bass U seminars that I did and be the person on the other side of the microphone because I've always just been a student of the game. So that was as cool of an experience as I've had along with doing this entire pro fishing side of things. So I appreciate you guys.
We appreciate you and want to invite you guys if you haven't seen it yet. All you guys, all the subscribers, go check out Ben's content at Bashu, his courses really on and he'll dive into even more details than we covered today on exactly how to catch big fish with big bait. So go check that stuff out. And thanks, Ben, man. We'll catch up with you real soon. And look forward to having you back on the show anytime. And good luck the rest of this fall.
Heck yeah. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right. We'll see you, brother. Ben Milikin, everybody, one of the greats, man. He's just Riz, I said it there. We've seen so many people try to make that transition from being an influencer and a YouTuber style of person into the world of professional fishing, and Ben has crushed it, man. And that's pretty.
He has just the right balance of time on the water combined with also the just competitive nature that is required to do to compete at that level. And he masterfully created the avenue and the opportunity for himself to do it, which once he got that avenue and opportunity to put in that massive amount of time on the water, he did. And so it's cool to see it. It's cool to see it work out because there were no shortcuts taken. Like Ben was a student at Bash University, and I'm just going to guess here, 2014, 15, somewhere in that realm. And then just under 10 years later, he was an instructor. So it's super cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. And we'll look for more stuff from Ben. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with some more Bass University Live.
Yeah, it's exactly what we're going to do.
We're off the clock to clock more fish, to fill our live wells and empty our coolers, because there's more to explore. The latest Humminbird fish finders work fast, see clearly, and know all the best spots. They fish even smarter paired with the Minn Kota, and break down the water like never before. If you like your plans loose and lines tight, then it's time to explore. Only with Humminbird. Get right to the fight. New Mega Live 2 forward-facing sonar puts you on more fish with an ultra-clear, rock-solid picture of underwater action. Next-gen clarity, next-level fun. Only with Humminbird.
Do you love bass fishing? Then you have to check out Bass University.
Access over 1,000 bass fishing seminars and episodes.
Get discounts on the tackle from your favorite tackle brand.
Learn the latest techniques from the top pros.
And never stop learning.
And never stop learning.
And never, ever stop learning. Welcome to the Bass University.
Welcome to Bass University.
Welcome to Bass University.
Welcome to the Bass University.
Welcome to Bass University.
The original Element rods were really Cashin's first launch, kind of at a price point level. With that, we got a lot of feedback.
And that's what brought about the Element Z2 and its launch. The most affordable American-made rod on the market.
Mother Nature may be tough. I'm tougher. I'll take you where chaos is the cost of entry and where the fish are worth the fight. Because the bigger the question marks, the better the quest.
Welcome back to Bass University. Speaking of, we were talking about big fish, Riz, and I saw one of the greatest catches again. On day 3, they're replaying the what is it? I want to say Penobscot. That's not it. The river down in North Carolina that the elites were at this year.
The Albemarle Sound.
Yes, there it is. Pasquotank. There's the word that I was looking for. Welcher's 10-pounder that he caught on day 3 of the tournament. What an amazing fish catch. He feels like he lost that fish twice the previous day. And
very cool.
Catch a 10-pounder, not to mention blow the field away. Like I don't think will ever be touched again with a winning margin of monstrous proportions. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. And you might even be able to get a sneak peek, maybe, over my right shoulder there, as we have a little sneak peek for you guys checking out the new Bass University app on Roku, which is super cool. We're still in the testing phase and getting things ready to roll. Looking forward to bringing that to all you guys. So get over there and get yourself signed up at Bass University and check all that good stuff out.
Yes. And speaking of the new app and the new platform, guys, we're still looking for a few more like-minded anglers that want to join the Bass University team in a little bit different level with the Bass U ambassadors. If you are interested in reaching in joining us at Bass University in that capacity, don't hesitate to reach out to us. My social handles on there. You can reach me directly, or you can reach us at the Dean's office at thebassuniversity.com. The Dean's office at thebassuniversity.com. We'd love to hear from you.
We absolutely would. And I am excited, and we've talked to him. He's a tremendous angler. He's been on the show. Is Logan Parks, and his insane tournament um, is coming up this fall, and Bass University will have a presence there. Young Jake Gluzek will be a competitor in the high school division, and I'm looking forward to seeing it firsthand and participating wherever I can down there and helping out with the program. But it's really a tremendous format. It's a lot of fun. It's going to and for me, Riz, it's going to be a special meeting because it's going to be on Lake Martin, which is
when is that event, Pete?
It's in November. It's just a couple of weeks away.
Oh, cool.
Middle of November, and it will be at the home of where my fishing career really got started on Lake Martin. And when I won their Bassmasters tournament there so many years ago. That was back in '99, and I think I fished one tournament there since shortly after, like in the early 2000s. And I got to look back at my track record because it all blurs, but I don't think I've been there for 15 years or more. So we're going to go back. I'm going to go fish those points and fish those trees that I caught them at 26 years ago, just for sentimental value. We'll see if it plays out,
Yes. Good stuff.
Yep. And big shout out. We're going to be bringing our cash and fishing rods down there. I know Jake will be competing with his, and just a big shout out to the cash and fishing rods group. What a great season. Jake and I also qualified for the Bassmaster Team Tournament Trail, which you and Justin qualified for. And that's going to be taking place at Lake Hartwell. Have you committed? Have you made your plans? What do you got going on?
And I still want to go. It's first week of December. I mean, we got to see how things shake out. Let's get this launch off the ground, and we'll go from there. But definitely still it's hot on the radar. Usually by about December I'm kind of starting to get hungry for some tournaments again. The month of November things slow down, and December it's time to go, because in the month of January we're on the road for Bass U for most of the month. So it'd be a good one to run down there and at least experience it. But we got a sub of the week, Pete. I'm gonna fire him up here. We got Dwight with a 6 Younda.
Sweet.
6-pounder. Dwight. He's rocking the Bass U AFCO sun shirt there. Stay on the lookout. There might be some more awesome AFCO Bass U stuff branded getting developed. So stay on the lookout. It's right around the corner. And this week's release on the website is Nick LeBrun visualizing the strike. This is a great seminar. It's one that really it makes you put your thinking cap on, in the sense of putting yourself out there on the water and getting a step beyond just chucking and winding. The concept is to understand what your bait's doing while it's under the water, and think about that in a sense to manipulate the bait and trigger strikes and visualize a fish eating your bait, which helps a lot in ultimately triggering that strike. So Nick LeBrun visualizing the strike is this week's release.
Excellent, man. Well, a lot of great stuff going on. Get yourself signed up to Bass University. We are very excited. You're going to want to be part of all the new features and the new content coming, including the Winner's Circle, which is a new feature that we're offering at Bass University. But what else you got, Riz?
One more thing. Guys, we're going to post a clip from this show, and this is only going to be for the guys that made it to the end. When we post the clip from this week's live show on our social media channels, you will be entered in to win a $25 Tackle Warehouse gift card if you can comment the bait that Ben said to fish like a topwater on an Ozark or a Highland Reservoir style lake. What bait did Ben recommend you can fish like a topwater on an Ozark or Highland Reservoir style lake? And the light bulb went off for me about that. So comment that on the clip that we post this week, and you'll be entered in for a chance to win a $25 Tackle Warehouse gift card.
Awesome. Thank you, Tackle Warehouse. And nice question, Riz. I remember exactly discussing that during the show before it just happened, but I would have to go back and listen to pick that bait.
Pete, I'm going to pick some up because when he said that, there's a little lake down in Virginia that you might have been to once already this year that I think that old bait will get her done on. So
we got to plan a trip down there, and we got to plan a trip for that other lake down in Virginia that we heard about on the live show.
Yep.
We got some sleepers around here that they have slept too long.
We got a little bit of a sleeper going on down there, I think, Pete, in the specifically in the wintertime component when we're a lot of times iced out, cabin fevered up here. They still got a hot hole down there that's ready to be fished.
All right. Shout out to Jeff Olson. Shout out to Justin and Jocelyn and Jason, all doing great work behind the scenes, helping us get this launch right for you guys. And look forward to seeing everybody next week. Thank you, Riz, as well. And thanks, Ben Milliken, for being with us today. Appreciate both you guys. And we will see you next week on Bass University Live.